There was a radio show that called, I don't even know how, they called my dad at my home phone, I
Already
guess.
starting bad.
Yeah, and then he called me, and then they called me and they said, "Hey, you're on air with so and so." It wasn't like a, "Hey, do you want to be on the show?" It was like, "You're on
Do you
air."
agree? Like,
And so immediately you're on air, and then you're thinking, okay, well now I'm kind of trapped in this scenario. And they were like, it was just, they were talking about the people that I met, and they're like, "Oh, well, you met with this girl, she's pretty good looking, like, were you trying to sleep with her?" And I was like, "No, I was trying to meet with her." And like, "Well, what about this girl, she's pretty good looking?" And I was like, I understand like the funny angle you're trying to take here, but I was like, you're grown men, and you're trying to belittle a
and they
project.
fully understand, like, and I don't mean this in a negative way, what brand is. Like,
Right.
you might be do certain things off camera you would never do, or not, I say camera, in your private life, you wouldn't necessarily associate with what you're doing. I don't think they're very different, but that you know, I don't know. They understand that you would never talk that way about your guests. They understood that when they called you. That's like very insulting that we're gonna trick you, or maybe you are a sleaze bag that, like,
Right.
yeah, they knew better. They were trying to get you to react negatively.
Of
They had
course.
to be. That's all they
Yeah.
wanted, was to
And I'm not,
not be genuine.
right, and I'm not that way, and the project's not that way. But that's one example that I can remember where I was like, "Oh, I'm not having fun in this situation."
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I if that happened to me, I would be curious to find out what they were doing, but I also just as equally likely to just hang up. You're live on the air. No, I'm not.
Right. And
No, like, because as soon as you hear that, you know there's no win.
yeah, exactly. And you can probably tell at this point, we've been chatting for like 45 minutes, but I'm a kind of like a stoic individual, and I'm kind of like focused on the goal. I'm very laid back and casual. So things like that, I don't really get animated around. I just kind of sit back and I'm like, "Oh, I see what you're
Uh,
trying to do." So I don't think it went where they wanted either, but yeah, very interesting.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Ruin their segment that they didn't
Yeah,
plan with you
exactly.
first,
Uh-huh.
and I'm all for it. It's not. I liked what Howard Stern did back in the day. It's been done. Can we move on?
Sure.
And again, I enjoy some of the non what's the word I'm looking for, the non PC or the non whatever parts of the internet. I enjoy
Sure.
some horrible humor things, but what I want to put out there is the opposite. I want to put better into the world. I want to just inspire one person to do better or to
Right.
have a good day. Not even hopefully somebody sees this and like they go, "Man, I'm glad he mentioned that people are good all around."
Sure.
Have you inspired any other people to go out or to meet a bunch of people, or even to do similar to you where they document who they're meeting, then they have a different goal slightly? Do you know of these people? How do you interact with them?
I do. I've had a handful. There was a girl in Boston who met over 30 people one-on-one for an hour each. I don't know. I don't think she's still going with it, but there were two cousins in Toronto that each met over 100 people. There was a guy in Germany that met 30 people. There's a girl in Ethiopia who is working towards meeting 100 people. I think she's met like 50. There's a guy in India who's trying to meet 1,000. He's met over 100. There's a girl in Brazil right now who's trying to meet new people. So I
You're
love that.
literally changing the world.
Yeah.
That one decision you made, that you wrote in your notebook, even
Mhm.
that has changed the world. Like, whatever happens in your life, you've changed everything. Like, it's amazing. If you never did that, she might not have met somebody who changed her life, who then changed. Like, if you did a heat map of what you've done on this planet, it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I can, if you give me 1 second to look up in my
Did you do a
the
heat map?
I didn't do a heat map, but the girl from Ethiopia on May, because she reached out to me in 2022, and then a year later, May 9th of 2023, she said, "Hey Rob, I just want to thank you for thinking about Rob's 10K Friends project and sharing with the world. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't do something interesting and fun with my life, and I wouldn't have these many cool opportunities in my life. I appreciate you." And I said, "What cool opportunities have come with the project for you?" And she said, "Hey, I got an opportunity to work with my favorite radio program growing up. The contents are related to collecting stories of people and presenting it back to them. I'm so excited, and I will start soon." So, yeah, to me, that feels so much better than the bi-weekly paycheck from Deloitte. The
Heck yeah.
bi-weekly paycheck was great, like stability wise, but yeah, to know you're having that impact on people is really cool. And I've been able to, I introduced 2 expats that were living in a small town in the Netherlands, and they got together and had dinner and sent me a picture of them at dinner together. So moments like that are really fulfilling to work towards.
Do you count how many children were created because of you?
I don't know yet.
I've
Yeah,
introduced people who then went on to have kids, or I've inspired somebody to go out and do something, and they met somebody and they've had a kid. I'm like, if it wasn't for me, that kid wouldn't be breathing. Like,
yeah, it's beautiful.
like,
Yeah,
I made a life because I don't have kids. That's how I have it happen. I just put people who want to have kids close to each other
sure.
and see what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think I have any of those yet, but hopefully by the time the project's done or at some point from it.
Have you met people that knew each other or later on met each other? Like, not on purpose, like, this is my friend, you should meet them, but like you're in a whole different town, other side of the country. Like, I knew a guy in New York who used to ride a green bicycle up and down the street with an interesting story, like something like that.
Yeah, I've had uh, like I've met people that I knew they were connected in ways that they didn't know that they were connected because I kind of had that 30,000-foot view. I have met people where we've realized that I had met their friends. I've met people where I realized like we were at the same concert years ago, and then we were just meeting actually right now. I've had people. There was this guy Graham Stephan. He's kind of like a financial YouTube guy, but he
Okay.
had this other guy Andrew Hales on his show, and Graham was telling Andrew about my project because Andrew was running an interview series, and Graham was like, "Yeah, this guy Rob, he's doing this whole thing, blah 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 blah." And Andrew listened to him for like 3 minutes as he talked about my project, and then he was like, "Yeah, I was number 1091." And he's like, "Oh, you know Rob?" He's like, "Yeah, I thought that's why you were talking to me about him." So I've had people that were trying to tell other people about my thing, not knowing they already knew about it.
And let's say Graham's name one more time. So when YouTube makes this an algorithm and they take, the transcribe it, we get his
Yeah, Graham Stephan. He's got, I don't know how, he's got
6
like
million.
at least, yeah, he's got millions of subscribers.
Yeah, let's get some of them over here. That's fine.
He's a
No,
good guy.
that's
I follow him as well. He's a financial guy.
Nice.
You'd like him. He's very level headed. Yeah.
Yeah, I work, and he, interestingly enough, he was working at the time at this real estate firm called the Oppenheimer Group, I believe.
which goes
And
back to my Trinity point.
yeah,
Sorry.
but he introduced me.
Sorry.
Yeah, it went over my head, but I missed I talked to this girl, Christine, from his office because he was talking about how he met me, and then she said she wanted to meet. So I was living in LA at the time, and she said, yeah, we met, and she's like, yeah, Netflix is going to do a show on our real estate firm here. And in LA, Netflix is going to do a show on everyone, so you take it with a grain of salt. And I was
Sure.
like, oh, cool, that's great, wonderful. And she told me that she moved there from Dallas to pursue acting. And that show went on to become the show Selling Sunset. And this girl, Christine, became one of the famous characters on that show. And I was like, huh, she wasn't lying. So
You found the one honest person in LA. No,
yeah,
I've actually, because of this show, I have some friends in LA that like I've turned around on what I used to think about LA. There's really good people there too. It's pretty cool.
definitely. Yeah.
That's the other thing. I think to truly understand the world or understand your place in it or even understand what's going on, you need to leave your hometown. It's okay if you still live there, but you need to you need to meet other people, hopefully where they are. How much traveling have you done for this? Because you're meeting people where you are, and I know you've traveled a lot, especially with your keynote speaker job.
Mhm.
How far have you gone to meet people?
So I was meeting everyone in person until COVID happened. So the first 3,259 people were all in person. And in that time, I started in Philly, and then I ended up living in LA for a year and a half, but it was over 3 separate periods of time. So I
Okay.
drove there and back. So I've driven across the country 6 times, and I've met people in over 20 different cities along the way in person, which was really cool. Like
I'm
I was,
actually jealous, officially jealous right now. That's a dream sort of journey. So
oh yeah, I would definitely recommend, and it teaches you a lot about the country and about the how broad America is, and how someone in Philly could have a different political ideology than someone in Iowa where it's farmland for days or whatever. And
Pittsburgh
it,
to Philly, We're supposed to hate each other for I don't know why, but we're supposed
Right.
to. But
Yeah.
we are different in a lot of ways. I've enjoyed being last time I went to Philly. I had the Philly blah blah blah, and you get to Philly, and it's a wonderful city, and I loved everything about it. That the main city building, I can't remember the name of it, is
City
beautiful.
Hall.
City Hall is beautiful. It's an
Yeah.
amazing building. I had ran into, and it just everything was great there, and I don't understand why I'm not supposed to like Philly.
Yeah, it's cool to see the country and yeah, of course with the keynote speaking, I've hit a bunch of different cities in the U.S. But the furthest my keynote speaking has taken me, which is also the furthest that I've traveled to meet someone, because I met 13 people when I was there, is Bangalore, India, which is really cool. And
Very cool. Yes.
second to that would be Berlin. I spoke in Berlin in September. And then I spoke on a 6-day cruise in October. So that took me to Cozumel, Mexico, and the Grand Caymans. So those are all kind of like the international spaces that I've gone for my project. But India was really great because you go into this space, and I'm really big on approaching things with like a beginner's mindset, like going to India and not thinking, well, I'm American, this is how things are supposed to be done. I'm like, no,
Right.
you go to India, and the way they do things there is the way things are supposed to be done. So
Agreed.
the way that they drive in traffic is normal. The fact that there are cows in the street is normal, and that's right for
And
where
you will
they
stop
are.
for them for however long they take.
Yeah, and I was happy to just be like a humble guest in their country,
Yeah.
and I had a
I'm
blast.
going to Iceland soon, and I'm reading up on it, the culture, how to be a good citizen on their soil.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be an
So
American, but they've seen that. I want to be somebody who I'm going there because I am fascinated with the land and the people, and that's what I'm going to be when I'm there, is somebody who's learning.
yeah, I can send you an Instagram account to check out for Iceland. A girl,
Please do.
I think she's an American expat there, but she's been there for years, and she's got like hundreds of thousands followers, and she's got like shows off all the things to do there.
Please do. Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
hate to over-explore an area before I go, but I don't think that's possible with Iceland. I can't wait to go. It's in
Yeah,
a couple
that'll
months.
be
But
awesome.
yeah. So I did want to get in, talk definitely about your keynote speaker job. So let me start here from my level of ignorance. The keynote speaker in my life was the guy who showed up in my high school auditorium, and he told us about the world. He had a personal story. He then translated into something that could apply to us and gave us hope for the future. We had some very heavy more. We even had a band called, I remember this, we had a band called The Edge, and they sang a whole bunch of positive songs. And every second or third song, they would have some speech or story about how we can do better and great in school and be great citizens. It was hilarious, and they were a good band. But
Okay.
what is a keynote speaker? And you mentioned how you got into it. So I don't necessarily want to start there, but I will ask some questions like, what is a keynote speaker specifically? What do they do? What do you do? Have a great one. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Be safe out there. Treat each other well.